Hi everyone, Tom was here, back at it with another review and discussion, but this one's a little different. We'll be talking about Crawford School of Terror, but in this circumstance, we're going to be talking about my experience, my first experience ever doing this as a scare actor, and I thank the cast, the crew, Micah, Travis, Troy, Susie, everybody at Crawford School for inviting me out to do this. But yeah, I was given the opportunity to be a scare actor at Crawford School of Terror on a Saturday night, last Saturday, in fact. And admittedly, I don't know if I shared this with anyone, I was slightly nervous. I think there is a nervousness when there's something you've never done before. And, obviously I've been through a lot of haunts. I get the idea of what goes into this, but it comes down to knowing, what to expect from being a scare actor and being a scare actor yourself. There's two wildly different things there. So, of course, was horribly late to Crawford School. I was supposed to be there at a certain time. I got into every traffic backup. I ran into like the 310 to Yuma. There's some random train that blocked my path. There's a road that's like a one-lane road, about 10 miles. A lady was going 20 miles an hour. So it's worse that I was late, but it's even worse that I was in my own head about it a little bit. Because let's face it, if you're familiar, Crawford School of Terror has a pretty good reputation as far as a haunt goes. And I didn't want to drag down that reputation. That's all I needed was to come out and be like, somebody walks out and they're like, man, your actors were great, but who was that janitor? He's the worst. Where'd you get him from? I don't want to let these people down. I don't want to let anyone down. But obviously I'd never done this before, so it was trying to figure out kind of what or how I was going to pull this off. So I came in, I brought a ton of cameras. Cameras I, of course, never really tested or used in a significant amount of time. I generally use my phone. Oh, if you're wondering, here, this is a good thing. If you wondered why I use my phone for the walkthrough, it's because I've tested all these cameras that I have. I don't have, look, I love everybody that watches. If you leave a comment, you're awesome. I try to respond to any and all comments on both channels. But not enough people watch this to get me like a $5,000 mirrorless DSLP OLED, camera that looks as good a movie does in the dark. I have a, iPhone that, looks like the, Game of Thrones Night Walkers episode for most of the haunted attractions. But to be honest with you, it works better than the GoPro. I have a DJI Osmo Pocket. I have a Canon G7X Mark II. None of them have the same quality picture in the dark that the iPhone does, if you can believe it. Because you watch, for those of you that watch my videos, they're dark. Let's not kid ourselves. But I was gonna okay, I'm gonna bring all these cameras and we're gonna, we're just gonna set them up in various places. We're gonna hope this all works out. So, showed up at Crawford. I was, talking with Micah and Travis, Troy, and everybody there, just about the kind of the experience of it. Was finally told what character I was. So that's the thing. Walking in, I didn't know kind of what character they had me being. In this case, for the evening, they had me be the janitor, and I was going to be stationed in the ladies' bathroom for the evening. That was my home. And I actually, once I got up there, I was familiar with that because it was actually the first thumbnail I ever did in Crawford in 2020 is a picture of a girl sitting on the counter of that particular bathroom, because I think it has like the blood stains on the mirror. If I remember correctly, I think that's the bathroom. But yeah, so they have a coffee shop at Crawford. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but they had a beverage there, which I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what it's called. But it's like, it has the caffeine of coffee without the taste of coffee. And I got a caramel apple first. Oh my God. Chef's kiss. It's amazing. I don't I don't know what it is, but I want more of it. In fact, when I go to Crawford later this season, I may grab one. I may try another flavor. But no, really, really good. I don't, like I said, if you go there, just ask for the caramel apple thing with the caffeination in it. You'll be good to go. It kept me going throughout the night. I'll tell you that much. But no, so I went through in the room to put makeup on. First experience I had where someone doing like an airbrush on my face. So it was something where I wasn't really used to that. Obviously it was something, where, that was kind of a new experience, and I was kind of like holding my, kind of like clenching up a little bit. So they were airbrushing my face, and like I said, I didn't know kind of what the look was of the janitor. But the idea is they put like, kind of like eyebrows on me, like they kind of grind my face up, put a little like some age line, if imagine they actually had to make my eyes darker. I'm 40 years old and perpetually tired at all times, so I'm shocked that they actually had to use makeup on that part. But no, and then they put like a creeper stash on me, and the lady was right. I did look like Gomez Addams for which I was hoping kind of like once I saw myself with the makeup on that I would be able to like kind of make a character out of that. But when I saw myself with the makeup on, it's like I said, it's kind of all I saw was Gomez Addams. So I didn't initially vibe with the character where I was like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So then, they did that. They went through I got in costume. I got in my coveralls there. And then they brought me up to the room and they're like, all right, showtime. They kind of went over a couple things where like, because there's a shrine to Margaret, who's like it's like the backstory of Crawford about this girl, Margaret. And they're like, you could use that, you could use, different things about cleaning up after, and that's the direction I was given. Which is fine. Like I said, I didn't necessarily need like fed or scripted lines. I kind of wanted to come up with something roughly on my own, kind of the rough idea of like what I was going to do. But then, then they're like, all right, about 10 minutes. And then I went, oh shit. What am I going to do up here? What am I going to do this evening? Like, I was like, oh no. I was like, all right, I got to come up with something pretty quick. And so I'm like, all right, so it's a janitor. He's, dead, undead, a ghost. He's still irritated that he has to clean up after kids. All right, let's run with that. Okay, so he's already irritated. He's been cleaning up with kids, cleaning up after these gross, dirty kids for 40 years, 50 years, or whatever. Or, and then the afterlife, eternally cleaning up after children. So he's irritated, and I can understand this. So I was like, okay. And so what I did was I grabbed the mop. There's a mop and a bucket. And I grabbed the mop, and I'm mopping the floor up there. And I'm getting into the routine of like mopping the floor, and I'm trying to all right, kids, clean up after you. I'm tired of cleaning up after you, kids. And then I was trying to think of like that. Okay, all right. So tired of cleaning up after you, kids. Which I have children. I know this. It's generally so tired of cleaning up after. So what my character was not quite a kind of very similar version of myself having to clean up after kids. No. So then I was like, is there any like creepy janitors in movies or in something I can reference? I need a janitor. I need a creepy janitor from a movie. And then all of a sudden, I don't know why this did. I haven't watched this movie in a long time. I like this movie. I haven't watched it in a long time. William Sadler's character from Disturbing Behavior popped into my head. And I just remember him like, the idea is that if you haven't seen Disturbing Behavior, it's a late 90s teen movie about these kids that they put like an implant in them, and it turns them from kids who are like, kind of like, bad seeds, or ones that are like, anti-establishment into these like goody two-shoe, like perfect kids. William Sadler in this movie is the creepy janitor, and he is a janitor that obviously knows more than he lets on, but he just sits there and kind of like murmurs to himself and kind of stays out of the way, but obviously he's like looking and observing what's going on. And I remember him saying in the movie, I have no idea what's in reference to because I'm blanking because I've seen the movie so long, but he's like, rats in the bay. Rats in the bay. And so I started having that mind, that I started getting that character of like, rats. And I'm like hitting the mop and I'm like, rats in the bay. Rats in the bay.
Rats from the bay. Rats everywhere. You kids are so smart, you think you know everything. You don't know nothing!
And then I'm trying to apply it to like what I was saying before. I was like, you're making dirt in my bathroom. Get out of my bathroom. Get out of here. So I'm using that voice kind of like, all right, that'll work. I don't need to overthink this. This is what I got. So then I was like, okay, what else is in this room that I can use as reference? Okay, so there's some bloody handprints on the wall. So I can yell at people for, being dirty in the bathroom while I'm trying to clean it. I'm vigorously mopping because that's what Micah said. He's like, you can like mop around a little bit. It's like, so like vigorously mopping the floor, yelling at people for bringing dirt to this bathroom. And then I'd be like, you're bringing blood, you're putting your bloody fingerprints on the walls. And then there's the toilet where you walk through, there's a portion where you kind of walk through a stall to get to the next section. And there's a toilet that's filled up with poop overflowing the above the bowl, backed up, kind of like poop prop there with a plunger on top of it. So I was like, okay, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to yell at them for bringing dirt in the bathroom. I think it started off with tracking dirt. So the tracking dirt in this bathroom, bringing dirt in the bathroom, making a mess of my bathroom, saying you've been cleaning it for 100 years, all this, stuff. And then I was like, all right. And then I'm going to accuse someone in the group or multiple people of clogging the toilet. And that's how we're going to play it. I'm like, okay, all right. I kind of do it. So it's like, okay. So, and I knew I wasn't going to compete being loud with the prom queen of Crawford, which if you've been through Crawford, and I wasn't competing with the school nurse who was in the section right before mine. So the best part is that the school nurse was such a great lead-in for me because that's when I knew people were coming. I would hear her and I go, oh, cool. Okay. All right, cool. We got people coming here because there's times because I'm trying to like navigate the cameras. I'm trying to like not put like an hour-long video of like anything together. So I'm constantly stopping recording, starting recording. It's just easier to edit with a smaller clip. So I was just doing that. So I'm like running in and out of these rooms feverishly. And then I'm like, okay, so then I hear the nurse and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Someone's in there. But then the prom queen's in the opposite side and I can hear her so loudly that occasionally I got confused. And I'm like, wait, which one's which? Because I hear someone yelling and it feels close, but I don't think that's the right section. I think she's beyond that section because they didn't show me the rest of Crawford. Because in anticipation of me coming out, they didn't show me anything beyond my room. Cool of them to do that so that I could be surprised when I came out there too. But at times it was a little disorienting because I didn't know who was which because they were loud, and kudos to them for being loud. And then the scare actor that was in the next section over came to me right before, and she's like, what are you going to say to people so I know, when they're coming through? And I'm like, okay, all right. So I got to say something. So I'm like on the fly, I'm like, I don't know. I'm so sick of cleaning up after you kids. So if you watch the video on the TomWasHere channel, you'll hear me say that a bunch of times, generally when people are leaving, because that's the cue for then the next person. Sometimes they can't always necessarily see when people are coming, and it gives them that idea. Now, did I do that perfectly every time? No. Sometimes you get lost in the moment. And then there's also, the one time, there was one portion where I didn't hear someone come in. Like, they came in real quiet. And I was like, I still had I held the mop the entire night. So I wasn't completely out of character. But when he walked in, I was just standing there for a second. And then I went into my thing, but he caught me slightly slipping. That's the only one. There's only one person, I think, that caught me slightly slipping off the thing. But everybody else, I was able to anticipate. Because about the third person in, I was like, oh, I'm going to close. Because the bathroom has like a stall door on front that you can close. I did hear, though. I closed that door. And so there's this closed stall door coming from the nurse's office. And then there's like an emergency exit door. And I did hear a lot of people get confused because they didn't know where to go. And I felt slightly bad for that. But at the same time, the anticipation of knowing that when my door opened up, I'm like, okay, I'm going to come out and get you at that point. That's when I was like, okay, all right, cool. Because I'd hear the door hit. Now, some people didn't always smack the door off the thing. They would just they'd push it and they'd wait. And then those are the times where I'd be slightly off, where I'd come out and get them, like, and then they're still in the hallway, and it's like, that's not as good. But I don't feel I was a steaming turd in this regard. I do feel I did better than I expected to. I think I did okay. Because I knew I wasn't going to be like the scary person, like the super scary person. There's obviously other people at Crawford that are set up in a better position to be like the super scary person or to be like the super loud person. And I would probably be able to pull off somebody that would be super loud or something like that. But what I was able to do is I can just, establish that here's a character, it's kind of the immersion factor that I like. Here's a character. He's a janitor. He's irritated that he has to clean up after these kids for so long. He's generally irritated that you're there in his room while he's trying to clean. He's trying to clean the room. He wants you to leave immediately. So leave, get out of here, so I can clean my room. So I think I pulled that off pretty well. The footage is dark. Let's not kid ourselves. The footage is a bit darker. You can hear it pretty good. You can kind of see like the shadows of people pretty good. The bummer on that is like the best camera portion is my iPhone. My iPhone can actually, has like a better camera than every other camera, it seems, as far as low light. But it was set up on the sink to avoid the fact that anybody sees that it's a phone recording. It was set up on the sink way back. So when I'm scaring people, I'm actually turning away from it. So instead of like it's filming this way, and then I'm going like, you bringing dirt in this bath. So I'm like filming away from it. And then when I come out in order to get them to leave, I'm actually put my back towards it to get them to come through the stall and then properly leave into the next section. So not the greatest footage ever. There was a GoPro hanging up above the door. The only time you can see me any good is when the Froggy group, Froggy or Rocky 99.1 and Froggy Radio came through and they did a walkthrough. And I have a point of contention with that. Whenever I've done walkthroughs at Crawford, they didn't allow me to have a light. Froggy Bozos had a light. I want a light. It's so much better video with the light. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to blind your actors. I don't want to blind any actors. But when you have a light, you can actually, the iPhone with light, it's great footage. iPhone dark, it's dark. Which Crawford at times has various light portions and has very dark portions. Like the 2022 walkthrough, the one from last year, Crawford was pretty dark on the old iPhone. So if the Denzians, if the students, teachers, and faculty of Crawford School would be so kind as to allow me to use the light next year, I think I'd have better footage out of Crawford. Or anywhere, to be honest. But I don't want to blind your actors, so I understand the reasoning. But Froggy had no problem going through there. The radio station had no problem going through there with the light. But I do appreciate that, because then I was able to actually see myself on the GoPro and able to see myself in their live, because they had a live Facebook walkthrough. And so I would just pulled up their walkthrough, pulled the footage I need, slapped it into my video, so you can actually see me for a little bit, kind of, working out there. The last thing I will leave you at this. So the idea is that in Disturbing Behavior, William Sadler kind of walked, like he had like a thing with his like leg, so he was kind of like hunched over and he's walking, rats in the bay. So I was like, I'm gonna be hunched over, because obviously I've been doing backbreaking work for you children for hundreds of years or whatever. So I'm about 20 minutes in, I'm like hunched over waiting for the next person, and my 40-year-old back is like, no. Sorry, cowboy. Sorry, cowboy. We are not doing this. So basically, I would, whenever someone would come out, I'm like, I come over all hunched out, and I'm, mopping the floor, and as soon as they leave, I'm like, oh, my back. But look, I stayed the 4 hours like a champ. I did the whole night like a champ. I was able to pull it off. And I didn't hear anything too bad. They seemed to be happy with my performance. I think it was okay. Yeah, I had fun doing it. But it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, like a good bit of people no-sold me, and I expected that, because I wasn't like your character that's going to be like the big reveal character. Now, did I get confidence from the jump when the first person I ran into, I was like, I heard him coming in, I'm like, tracking dirt, and he's like, Jesus Christ! He's tracking dirt! Jesus Christ! Stop tracking dirt through this bathroom! I've been cleaning this bathroom for it was like, okay, all right, cool. I needed a couple of those. I also got some like teenage girls come through, that were like scared of everything, and they're like selling everything. And I was able to get them pretty good. So I felt I got some good scares out of the night. But yeah, I'm not the one that's going to be like giving off the big reveal. I'm not going to be the memorable character at the end, which you don't necessarily need to be. You just need to be the character, putting in your work, trying to clean up this bathroom, and getting you little brats out of the way so I can keep doing it. And in that case, I succeeded. But that'll do it for the Crawford School of Terror. Being a scare actor for the first time, I feel more confident about my abilities to do this. I may explore this with other future haunts and other videos, because I really had an awesome fun time doing it. It was just a matter of like the initial what am I gonna do? And then when I'm finally I was hoping the character would push through when I got in the outfit, and it didn't. I was hoping the character would push through in the makeup, and it didn't. And then luckily I stumbled into the recesses of my brain to come up with William Sadler and Disturbing Behavior, and he brought it home for me. So thanks again to the cast and crew, everybody at Crawford, for making a boy feel welcome in their world. I felt kind of fraud-like going in, where I'm like, shit, they really are good at what they do. I don't want to screw this up, to at least feeling like part of the group by the end there. I felt like I did a pretty good job. Obviously, if you went through Crawford last Saturday night, you can let me know whether I did a good job or not. It was, Saturday, October 1st. So if you interacted with the janitor on Saturday, October 1st, 2023, that was yours truly. I hope I did right by you. You might not have remembered me at the end, but my guess is if you saw the overworked, underpaid janitor scrubbing the floor, trying to make a wage, and dealing with you children who are just messy and gross all the time, that I made you proud a little bit. I feel like I just hope I didn't let you down. I feel like I did a pretty good job. But that'll do it. My first time as a scare actor at Crawford School of Terror. thanks again to everybody at Crawford for having me out to experience this. I've never done anything like this before, and it was slightly out of my comfort zone, but that's kind of what I made the channel for, is to go into these, different things and experiences that I had never considered visiting, never considered doing, never considered anything before, and just to say I did it, just to say I was there, just to say I experienced this. And I'm happy to say that I had an awesome time being a scare actor at Crawford School of Terror. But guys, thanks so much for watching. If you are new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to support me on Patreon like John Bailey did, you can do so. Link is in the description below. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt, a TomWasHere t-shirt, you can do so at Spreadshirt, as well as links to my eBay store, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, and the Pennsylvania Autograph Collectors Association. Links are in the description below. But when it comes to my first time as a scare actor ever, and at Crawford School of Terror, guys, thanks so much for watching. And until the next video, I will see you soon. And thanks so much for visiting the TomWasHere Halloween Haunts channel. Subscribe. Bye, everyone.